The job fair. This is really cool because it's a place where you can talk directly to the recruiters and ask pretty much whatever questions that you have. They tend to be receptive, but be honest about your approach. And every year the companies change. So the first year I went, it was great. Blizzard was there. There were like a whole bunch of other local companies there. But the next year, they were all international companies looking for seasoned artists. So I felt a bit jaded. And one of my teachers pointed out that the demand is always going to change. But again, that shouldn't dissuade you from visiting, even if you don't know who the companies are, because again, you get to have a good personal insight as to what they're looking for, and you really shouldn't pass that opportunity up. Sorry, yeah, I'm laughing actually because I just got an email alert while I was filming that little segment about the job fair, and the title of the email was "Look Who's Hiring at the SIGGRAPH's Job Fair." So ironic, but yeah, I could tell you this one is actually probably bigger than the other previous two times I've attended SIGGRAPH. So I could tell you Google, Uber, Facebook, Adobe, Pluralsight, SpaceX, Oculus. It goes on and on and on. It's going to be a really big one. So this is going to be interesting. This is transferable information that you can use at any job fair. So I really want you to have this right now. First things first, come up with an elevator pitch that has one objective. One, not two, not three, one. Because if you let the recruiter know that you are a jack of all trades, if you try to make that claim, you are pretty much going to kind of end the good first impression, because you're going to come off as indecisive. And then they're going to give you this look. So don't do it. Don't claim to be a really great animator, illustrator, and rigger and modeler all at the same time. Pick one. Make sure it's your strength. And be honest with yourself, because your passion right now may not actually be your strength. And this has happened to me. I like to animate. That is the whole reason why I went into media arts and animation. But as it turns out, I'm a better modeler for environments, and actually I like to dabble in the producing side of things. So be honest with yourself. Play to your strengths, because the whole point of this is to get your foot in the door. Portfolios and show reels. Have that too. Those visual resumes are a definite need in the industry. And again, pick your strongest pieces or piece. It's better to have one really good piece than a whole bunch of so-so pieces. I've actually heard from recruiters in Nickelodeon that said that you could have like one great piece, but if you have a crappy piece in the reel, they're going to remember that crappy piece, and then you are going to not have that job. So be honest with yourself and pick the strongest. Where to store your reel or portfolio. Now, if you are super awesome, which I know you guys are, a lot of you already have like some sort of website, or even have posted your work online on YouTube or somewhere like that, which is great. And that just shows that you are, that further along. However, I do recommend that if you are going to have a reel, to put it directly onto your device, whether it be your phone or tablet. The reason being is that the positioning of these job fairs tend to be in the back areas of the venue where the internet may not be that strong, so you don't want the recruiter waiting as your stuff is loading. You want to show them and get in and get out and press the mess out of them so they can hire you. Resumes. Should you or shouldn't you have one on hand? I would say having maybe a couple would be great, but if you don't, it's definitely not the end of the world. But do have a digital copy available. They do tend to have a place where you can register your information right in front of the job fair, and it's usually with like creativeheads.net. So if yeah, you have your resume again, just showing that you're prepared. Ways to attend. There are a whole bunch of different packages and passes that you can get. I won't go into them all, but they do range from like 1600 to as small as $50. As a student member, though, you do get a really, really, really good discount. So if you want to attend the entire conference as a student, it'll be like $400. If you were to try to do the same as a non-member, it'll cost you over $1,000. Another way you could possibly get into these conferences is if your employer pays. So if you happen to have a job already in the industry, ask and see if they'll, pay your way, because it's a really great experience. And I'm sure if you can sell it as if they're going to get a really great return on their investment, you might have a shot. Another option is becoming a student volunteer, and that's what I'm going to do this year. And one of the reasons, or one of the few reasons why I did it, is because it allows you free entry. You get discounted items. For instance, these business cards that I got, they're actually professionally made, and I had a $20 discount. So I basically got my business cards half off, thanks to being a student volunteer. They also create panels specifically for the volunteers, and so you have a bit of a personal way into the industry, so to speak. Some of the panels also include Breakfast with Pixar, which I will be attending later on. So yeah, this could be a way to also network with fellow artists such as yourselves. I just found out that being a student volunteer gives you the opportunity to get mentored. It's not a guaranteed setup, but you can apply, and you might be matched with a professional who's willing to give some of their time and resources to help you get to where you need to be. I unfortunately didn't see this in time, so I missed the deadline, but I want you guys to know that that's an added benefit of being a student volunteer. How to become a student volunteer. First, you must join ACM SIGGRAPH as a student. I also suggest you join anyway, because even if you don't participate as a student volunteer, your conference tickets will be at a deep, deep discount. Number 2, you must also adhere to their guidelines for eligibility. Again, I just graduated, and technically I'm no longer a student. However, I did actually meet the eligibility rules, so I get to participate, albeit for 1 year, as a student volunteer. Number 3, make sure that you actually apply prior to the deadline. The openings for these applications start around November and end around early February. Of course, there are some concessions you will be making if you agree to participate in this program. Your time is now their time, so just know that you would be agreeing to about 25 hours of volunteer work, but in actuality it's going to be a lot more, because you're going to have to consider getting to the venue and from the venue for your voluntary work, and you're required to check in at least a half hour prior to your shift. We are about midway through the conference, and I'm exhausted. It's Tuesday night. The conference started officially on Sunday, but I've been actually working since Saturday straight, and it's been quite an amazing experience, and I was able to do and see a lot. Unfortunately, I can't show you images of myself while on duty because one of the rules is that we don't take any pictures or recording while we are working, but I can at least show you what I wear, and you'll see this at every other SIGGRAPH from now and probably forever and ever. The colors will change, but we'll wear t-shirts, and on the back it has the Ask Me Student Volunteer, and this year their sponsor is DreamWorks, so you get two of those. And I call it Pepto-Bismol, and when you see us as a group, it's looking a little I don't know, kind of like Majin Buu. You'll also need to read and understand all the information they send to you, including multiple emails and a student volunteer handbook. Yeah, they have a handbook. And yeah, you gotta read it because you're gonna get tested on it. And if you don't pass that test, you don't get your badge. And if you don't get your badge, you don't get to say you were a student volunteer. You must pay your own way. And even though financial aid is available, it's not always a guarantee. Plus, you'll have to consider other expenses. For example, if you are thinking about going to Vancouver next year and you're thinking about flying, you're going to need a passport to return to the United States. So you'll have to consider the cost and the process time of getting that passport prior to the event. If this isn't for you, just as a parting ways, just to suggest that you look at other options closer to home. I've been told that recruiters do like when students kind of show their interest beyond the classroom. So if it's not through an internship, if it's just volunteering locally in your community, be it a museum event, a film festival, whatever, that you contribute to the arts. They like to see that. Plus, it's also a really good way to network. Oh, one more thing. I would encourage you to join organizations. If for anything, it just gives you more information about what is out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a CM SIGGRAPH, but do join an organization that aligns with your interests. So if you're a gamer, go ahead and join IGDA. I, for one, am a member of WIA, which is Women in Animation. And no, you don't have to be a woman to join. They do have really good relationships with the major studios. And yes, there are a lot of men in there. And there are a lot of men that attend their networking events as well. So don't feel intimidated by that. But again, do express and show your interest. This helps the recruiter know that you're really serious and passionate about what you're studying.